G'day, this is Charlie, and I'm coming to you today with my daily dose of business tech inspiration. Topic number 237, the impact of website speed on the customer experience. You have probably heard a whole heap of things about you need to make sure your website speed is right, and you need to use Google's PageRank and all those things about making sure your website speed is right. And you go and you hit enter on your computer. It's pretty fast to me. It looks good to me. And then you get someone come back to you and say, oh, your website speed's not good. How many of you have actually got spam messages to that effect? And we can improve the performance of your website and make it rank better. I am going to say, be real careful. Be very, very, very careful of those spam messages or those unsolicited offers of people who have come to your site and think they know better. They may or may not know better, and they could actually cause you a lot more problem than they're worth if they get it, if they really don't know what they're talking about. Let's have a talk about website speed, though, and what it actually is. It's not just the visual speed that we're talking about. Google does have a number of metrics that it uses to determine whether your site is fast enough to get good rankings. There are a number of things that will impact that. And I'm also going to say that sometimes you need to be a little cautious with how those results are presented back to you and make sure you understand what they mean entirely. I've had cases where I've looked at those results and gone, that's not right. Why is that? And then worked out it's a configuration issue or it's something else that's going on. It's not necessarily what you've done. So you will need to get help if you're looking at those results and you want to fix those results. Just understand, though, that there's a point that you're going to get to where the return on investment for how much you put in to making those results 100% versus 88 or 90 or 93% is not worth the trade-off. So please be aware of that. Let's have a talk about why website speed is important first. First of all, it's first impressions from a visitor. A fast-loading website creates a positive first impression, reducing the likelihood of users leaving before the page fully loads. Now, I actually don't have a problem if a page is still loading while someone is scrolling down, as long as it's loading fast enough so that as they're scrolling, it's loaded. It doesn't have to be fully loaded. They've got to get the stuff at the top up so that they can start reading. They can start determining whether they're where they want to be. And then as they're scrolling, the content is there. Some people say, oh, it's got to be fully loaded within X amount of seconds. My question is, does it really? I know what Google says, but does it really? Because we're talking about customer perception as well as what Google has determined they want. User satisfaction. Slow websites are absolutely frustrating. It leads to a higher what they call bounce rate, which is people coming onto the site going, I've had nothing, leaving really quickly. So they're coming on and leaving really quickly because the site loads so slowly, and definitely lower user satisfaction. So if someone decides to stay and a page is taking forever to load, it's going to negatively impact your brand, your business, your sales, all of those things. I should get to talking about some of the things that will impact all of this as we go through this. It does play into your SEO ranking. Google certainly factors in what it classes as page rank and page speed into your ranking results. So you do need to have it pretty good. I'm not going to say you need to have it 100%. And I'm going to have a lot of people screaming at me about that, I am sure. But again, I come back to how much do I want to spend on this versus what results I'm getting. It's a 1%, but it's another 1% on top of a whole heap of other things I can be doing. Conversion rates. So going back to user satisfaction, faster websites can help with higher conversion rates because customers are going to stay on longer, visitors are going to stay on longer, they're more likely to take action, they're less likely to be frustrated with the fact that the page takes so long to load. Now, you notice I'm saying the page takes so long to load. I am sure you've all been to websites where you've hit refresh or you've hit go to the next page and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. those sorts of delays are far worse to me than the delays that you get in page speed and page rank, because a lot of those are imperceptible to the user, whereas a delay like a delay where the page is just slow to load is absolutely impacts on your visitor. Mobile user considerations. If you have fast websites, if you have pages that load well, that are optimized for mobile, they will load quicker. Than that, particularly on mobile, it's really important, particularly when someone's out and they've got low mobile data reception. Having something that can load a lot quicker is much, much better. And that all of then sort of funnels down into the last one, is it's going to make you more competitive in the market, in your market, within your industry. Fast, efficient sites, things that deliver what people want them to deliver. Again, this is all 1%, right? This is the one thing you can do that is going to make a big difference. It's one thing that you can do that will make a difference. And if you get enough of these stacked on top of each other, you're going to end up with websites that absolutely rock. Okay, let's have a talk about what can actually impact the site of a the speed of a website. What can I say? Sometimes my words trip over themselves. What can impact the speed of a website? I do a lot of building in WordPress. I get called in a lot to fix WordPress websites that are slow to load, are just awful to use. And the big things that I find, so I'm going to talk specifically about WordPress websites and then try to generalize it a little. But in terms of WordPress websites, the things that we find that really impact a website, a website, the number of plugins that are used. Some people just think, oh, it's fine, we'll just throw another plugin. We need this one function, we'll just throw another plugin in. And they're using page builders like Elementor or Beaver Builder or Divi, and those three particularly are real resource hogs. And once they start hogging resources, it slows the server down, so it slows the delivery of the pages down. And add to it, particularly with Elementor, it's like there are so many plugins out there that people go, oh, we just need a new function, we'll just add this one plugin in. But that one plugin that they've just added in has duplicated 4 or 5 other functions that another 2 or 3 plugins are giving. And you end up with what I call bloat that is not needed. Sometimes you just need to be a bit smart about how you're doing things and work out another way to do things, or work out what an existing plugin is giving you to see if you can use something within there before you just go and throw a new plugin in. So too many plugins, because they all try to load all at once, and whether they're needed or not on a page, they just load. And every time you load a new piece of script, it's a new piece of script that runs on the resources of the server. So bloated sites, too many plugins, sites that have evolved over time and the database hasn't been cleared up. So the database is quite large and there's a lot of information in there that is no longer used. You can clean out your database. These sorts of things require specialized attention, by the way. It's not something that I'm going to say you can do, but I'm giving you things that you might want to think about and ask your own techs or people to look at as well. Poorly designed themes. I've already spoken about page builders like Elementor, and Divi and Beaver Builder. They're great. They're good if you're a startup and you just want to drag and drop things. My personal opinion, having worked with a number of sites where I've had problems, they're resource hogs. And they just chew server resources like nothing else. Yes, you can put caching on. Yes, we can optimize it, but it often doesn't help enough. It's not enough of the 1% to make it better, to overcome the issues that we're having. So think about the themes that you're using. Is your theme dated? Has it not been updated in a while? Therefore, it's using an older code base, which isn't as efficient. Are you using a page builder that is just inherently inefficient and causing problems? So plugins, themes. Come back to your actual server that you're running it on. Is the server configured properly? Do you have enough resources allocated to your site? PHP memory, and I don't want to get into, so I'm throwing a jargon term there at you. The application memory, the memory that is allocated to the application, the app that will run the web server itself, isn't enough. It's too low. And what happens is the software runs, the memory fills up, it slows down while it empties out the memory, and it can run the next function, and then that finishes and it runs the next function. Whereas and then sometimes it just stops working because it overflows the memory and it cannot operate anymore, and it throws an error. And that's often why you get your white screens of death, or an error occurred, or 500 server error. I'm sure you've seen them all. These are the things that people normally come to me with. We don't understand what's happening. So you need to make sure that the memory available to PHP, the application that runs the web server, sorry, not the web server, the software on the web server, is sufficient and can be tweaked to give you a little bit more. The way the server is configured itself, I actually spent considerable time with one of my clients who has a massive website, and we actually got in and I feel like I was in there with my spanner and my screwdriver and my sonic screw. No, not I'm not Doctor Who, but yeah, I felt like that's what I was in there with, and my little toolkit, and I was actually tuning the server, tuning the applications on the server, tuning the web server itself, making sure that everything was humming along so that we could get every ounce of performance that we could out of the server, because some of the software that was running was really inefficient, and I had to get in and do some tweaking to make that happen. So there's some of the things that are going to impact the speed of your server, the speed of your site. Most of it comes back to the code you're running, the types of code you're running. You're running too much code. It's bloated. It's just too much to load. Some of it is your actual code is poorly written and isn't going to give you the results that you want. Some of it is the fact that your web server isn't configured correctly. And I can sort of say to anyone the fourth one was your database. Make sure your database is optimized and is regularly cleaned out, so that you're not trying to load copious amounts of data that you're no longer using. It's such a thing. Now, I'm going to say that with other types of software, you have similar problems. And so you can take this as a generic thing and say, how can I twist this? How can I turn this to look at this for this particular piece of software I'm running, or this thing that I'm doing? Is it one of these things, or is it something else entirely? The final thing is, do you actually have enough speed and bandwidth into the server? Is your hosting provider providing you with a big enough hose pipe so that the amount of traffic that you're getting is coming down into the server on time? Like, can you get enough traffic to the server to do what you need it to do? That's the other part of it that you need to consider. There are a number of ways to fix website speed. A lot of it comes down to using someone like myself who can go through and tweak things and look at things and have a look at the different things and say, yep, here's an issue, here's an issue, here's an issue. Some of them you can do yourself, and some of them is about, let's just restructure how some of the things are set up for you. I've done that for a number of customers too, just to move stress points to different points of the network for you, different points of your whole network, whole configuration. And it's amazing the changes those make. All right, guys, what do you think? I said the thing that I want you to take out of this one particularly is that website speed is really important. It's really important to your customer satisfaction. It's really important to getting people through your site and making sure they stick on your site. It's also important in terms of SEO, and Google has some great resources out there you can go and test the speed of your website. I am going to say to you, though, that when you get those results from Google and you're looking, saying, look, I've got a 93 or a 95, but this needs to be 100. Google says it needs to be 100. There are things there that you might not be able to resolve. I actually had a bit of a giggle one day when Google came back to me and said, yes, your site's slow because of these scripts. And I'm looking going, well, that's your analytics. That's your capture. That's another Google function. That's another Google function. So you're telling me that my site is slow because you've told me I've got to put these pieces of software into my code to make it work, or so that you can do what you want, and you can, and now you're telling me I'm slow and I need to fix it, but I can't fix it because it's your software. Like I said, I had a bit of a giggle about it and went, I'm at 95. That 5% I can't impact. I'm going to accept that I'm going to stay at 95. 95% is good. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you guys think? Maybe I'm just being a little bit too cynical in my old age. What do you guys think? I'd love to know. If you've got questions, please leave comments wherever you are watching or listening to this. You can always send me a DM on any of the social media networks. We will respond to you. You can come to my website and start up a website chat if you want to. Or you can come and join the conversation at Locals, askcharlyleetham.locals.com. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell so you find out when I drop my next piece of content. Content goes out, these podcasts go out at 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time every day of the week. I don't miss. Monday through Sunday, you will get Charly's daily dose of business tech inspiration. Tomorrow, it looks like we are going to be talking about blogging and why it's important, or why it's another 1% that you can add to your website or your traffic building and your business building efforts. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, guys.